Chris Philp has been caught proving pretty much what everyone knew all along, and that Brexit never had a plan. Just before we left the European Union, the Tories, who were in government at the time, didn't have a plan for what was known as irregular migration. Now, since then it's been called illegal immigration, and leaving the Dublin Agreement meant that we wasn't able to return people to safe countries that they've travelled from. Sky News has got hold of a recording of Chris Philp pretty much admitting that they had no idea what to do. So first, thanks to Haggis over on Twitter, or X as it's now called. Here's what he said back in 2020 about leaving the EU.
Well, the Dublin regulations do have a number of constraints in them, which makes returning people who should be returned a little bit harder than we would like. Of course, come the 1st of January, we'll be outside of those Dublin regulations, and the United Kingdom can take a fresh approach.
And here is what he said a couple of weeks ago.
Now, because we're out of the European Union now, we are out of the Dublin III regulations, and so we can't any longer rely on sending people back to the place where they first claimed asylum. When we did check it out, just before we exited the EU transitional arrangements on December the 31st, 2020, we did run some checks and found that about half the people crossing the Channel had claimed asylum previously elsewhere in Europe, in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, somewhere like that, and therefore could have been returned. But now we're out of Dublin, we can't do that, and that's why we need to have somewhere like Rwanda that we can send these people to as a deterrent.
At the end of that clip, we saw that he talks about the need for the Rwanda plan. But as we know, that wasn't really discussed for probably maybe a year or 2 years after we actually left the EU. So they literally had no plan coming out of the EU on what we was going to do about the irregular migration. As you can see from this graph, look at the spike of when it all kicked off. People knew they couldn't be sent back to safe countries. See, the way the Dublin Agreement works is that it gives the asylum seeker a single point of entry and then determines the best place for them. So it could be, say, that they've got family in the UK, so therefore wherever they landed they will be shipped to the UK. But it also works in reverse. Say they're just fleeing war or persecution, then it would be the first safe country that they landed in. So if they landed on a safe country and then moved on to the UK, they could be then shipped back to that first safe country. And like Chris Philp said in that recording, a large percentage of those people that were crossing on boats had already claimed asylum in a different country. Being part of the Dublin Agreement also means that we could have shipped them back to that first country they claimed asylum. This way, they can't shop around for whichever country they fancy. It's best place within the EU that they can stay. And yet, we've come out of it. Therefore, anybody that lands on our shores, we can't push them back because we're no longer part of this agreement. And I don't know what's kind of worse, the fact that we've come out of it, or the fact that the Tories had no plan or didn't even think about it until the last minute. And the best thing they can come up with in place of it was to ship off everybody to a separate country and break international law instead. Because of their incompetence, Labour now left trying to clear up the mess, but are they going about it in the right way? Well, to see my thoughts on that, you'll need to check out the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.